The Pro Bowl rosters were just announced today. Tua was actually named the Pro Bowl quarterback starter for the AFC over Lamar Jackson, which is funny considering Lamar's probably going to be your MVP. But let's go ahead and get into that, man.
Let's talk about it.
Pro Bowls were announced today. To give a quick rundown, I'm not going to go over the offensive linemen, and it's just most people aren't going to know the offensive linemen and fullbacks. But on the AFC side, we had Tua, Lamar, Patrick Mahomes. Probably no real surprises there, aside from maybe Patrick Mahomes could be a CJ, could be a Lamar, Josh Allen there. My vote would have been Josh Allen. But on the running back side, Mostert gets in from Miami. James Cook, shout out James Cook with the late end of the year swoon with his first Pro Bowl, with Derrick Henry getting in as well. On the receiver side, we got Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, and David Njoku. Obviously, he's had a great season, especially when Joe Flacco came in and turned them up. Mm-hmm. On the defensive side, we got our presumed Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, and Justin Matabuike, if I'm pronouncing that last name right. Shout out him. Contract year, Baltimore Ravens, first Pro Bowl. On the other edge rushers, we got TJ Watt, Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Khalil Mack, Roquan, Patrick Queen. And then in the corners and defensive backfield, we got Patrick Surtain, Sauce, Jalen Ramsey got in. Denzel Ward, Justin Simmons, Minka, and of course, Kyle Hamilton. Before we get to the NFC side, did you guys feel there were any snubs on the AFC? Obviously, I mentioned Josh Allen and C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud missed a couple games, so just a tough rookie season. But
I think he was on pace, though. I really think he was on pace.
Definitely was on pace for sure.
He still should have got
Now, before we do the snubs, though, before y'all say y'all snubs, if you name a snub, you gotta name somebody to come off.
No, that's fair.
You gotta name somebody to come off. So go ahead.
I'll start. And I thought, I wouldn't say, I don't know, I don't even want to call this a snub, to be honest with you, but I really thought that from the hype around him that L'Jarius Sneed would sneak in there. And for that, you can probably take out Jalen Ramsey because he missed how many games did he miss?
Most
7?
Of the season. Yeah.
8?
Half of the season at least.
That's kind of it's kind of crazy to have him in there over somebody that's been out there and producing the whole season. So that's the one snub that I would say is the most glaring to me, having Jalen Ramsey in there. But other than that, you can go quarterback. Patrick Mahomes probably shouldn't have made it, but I don't think he'll ever miss a Pro Bowl in his career. Unless he's injured. So it's tough. But I would say that Jalen Ramsey one is probably the biggest one. I think both Ravens linebackers pretty much deserve it. The whole Ravens defense, it's no surprise that most of them are on this. So no surprises there. But I would say that.
What say you, Chris?
I guess if I were to go, I would say quarterback. Like Cass said, Patrick Mahomes had no good year in my opinion, but can't really take him off. So,
which is crazy.
I would put Josh Allen in though.
Josh, okay,
and take him off and take Pat Mahomes off. I mean, that shit crazy. Yeah, that shit crazy.
Yes, honestly.
We could say number one snub, probably Lamar Jackson not getting the start.
Not getting the start position.
Okay, well,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Which is, I really find that very weird how Tua is the starter.
Yeah, it's definitely a little crazy. But
because he be throwing the ball.
He's quarterbacky, I guess. But for me, I'm gonna have to go with my guy Michael Pittman. In a contract year, he's been a consistent number one receiver and option for the Colts. I would have Amari Cooper actually is the starter. I would not have had him the starter over Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen should have been the starter with Tyreek Hill. I would have had Michael Pittman being all coming off the bench with him and Jamar Chase. His first year getting 100 receptions, goes for 1,100 yards with a backup quarterback. It's tough because him and Amari Cooper were kind of in similar circumstances, but Amari Cooper probably got the nod because Pittman got a concussion and missed a game and a half. So that would have been my snub. But let's go ahead and check out the NFC side.
Hang on, before we go there real quick. Chris, I want to get your thoughts because we talked about the pre-show. How do you feel about Travis Kelce making it over a guy like Evan Ingram? Or even Derrick Henry making it over a Travis Etienne? It's not the Jaguars got really fucked in this one, but how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just reputation. I mean,
I don't think Derrick Henry, like, that's a weird pick.
Derrick Henry is tough.
I think Derrick Henry, that one, I don't know. I mean,
Derrick Henry's had a lot of dud games
for him?
A lot of dud games. A lot of dud games.
Oh, you said you would put ETN over him? Yeah. I mean, it's the name.
Especially after this past week, and obviously, recency bias, but with Trevor Lawrence being out and then Travis Etienne kind of being the driving force between of why they're not out of the playoffs at this point in this past game, I would have probably given the nod to Travis Etienne as well.
Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, let's go to NFC.
But we already know, Travis Kelce had the Swifties on his side, so there was probably no chance.
He probably won't. He's not going to miss one.
Now, on the NFC side, this was kind of tough because, we'll just go ahead and get into it. Brock Purdy, he's the starter on the quarterback side with Dak Prescott and Matt Stafford filling out the quarterbacks. Christian McCaffrey, obviously, for the running backs with DeAndre Swift and Kyron Williams getting his first Pro Bowl. Shout out Kyron Williams. CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown, of course, and once again, obviously, with Mike Evans and Puka getting his first Pro Bowl look in his first season.
It is.
George Kittle and Sam Laporta, another rookie getting in.
Yeah, shout out Sam Laporta.
Shout out Sam Laporta as well. On the defensive side, we got Nick Bosa with the starter at defensive end along Montez Sweat. Shout out Montez Sweat getting traded midseason and still making the Pro Bowl. I know them Falcons fans sick. Anyway, Aiden Hutchinson filling out the defensive ends. With the interior linemen, we got Aaron Donald, Dexter Lawrence, and Javon Hargrave. Micah Parsons, Daniil Hunter, Hassan Reddick, Fred Warner, and Bobby Wagner are your inside linebackers. And then at the cornerback position, we in the defensive backfield, we got Deron Bland, of course, Shavaris Ward, shout out him getting a look, Jalen Johnson, and another rookie, and Devin Witherspoon making his first Pro Bowl. And then Jesse Bates, of course, he's probably going to be all-pro. Budda Baker getting the nod after requesting a trade this past offseason.
Right.
And rounding it out with Julian Love, who's the third safety on the Seattle Seahawks. So it's pretty amazing to see him getting the Pro Bowl nod. Who do you guys think is a snub on the NFC side?
Who? I would have probably went. I mean, I'm not hating on Julian Love. But Antoine Winfield Jr. had a great season for the Bucs this year.
And he might be all pro.
So I was a little surprised that Julian will make it over him. But other than that, it's hard for me to take anybody off. So that I don't want to say too many snubs for the NFC because I'm looking at it like all these guys I feel like are deserving. I know we talked pre-show. Well, I'll let you probably talk about it later. But yeah, all these guys are pretty much deserving. So it's hard for me to take in.
What say you, Chris?
I mean, me personally, just because he used to play for the Eagles, but TJ Edwards had a great ass year. He's probably the top. He probably could be arguably one of the top linebackers. But Bobby Wagner,
Wagner is a little
I feel like we just had to throw somebody less notable name Bobby Wagner. Nah, TJ Edwards definitely played way better than him this year. But I just think seeing Bobby Wagner just like that's one of them. Like,
okay, my snub would be Amon-Ra St. Brown. 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 112 receptions on the year. I would personally take out Mike Evans, which is a very tough pull because Mike Evans, I mean, he's still having a fantastic season. 13 touchdowns, 1,200 yards, helping the Bucs get to the playoffs as well. But for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, the Lions getting their first division championship in over 30 years.
The consistency
the consistency he's had. I mean, it seems like every game he's getting 10 receptions for 100 and some yards and a touchdown.
He has over 110 catches and 1,400 yards or plus.
Actually, somebody I would put. You just made me think about it. I would put Brian Branch over Julian Love.
Brian Branch is having a great season as well.
He had a good season too. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's crazy to even say. I mean, we spoke about what 3 rookies that made it on the NFC side.
That's true.
And then we had an opportunity. Brian Branch probably could have also had Jahmyr Gibbs for real, and he could have definitely been consideration. And they're both probably alternates for the Pro Bowl. So I mean, we could have really been looking at 4, 5, 6 rookies getting into the Pro Bowl. So that's pretty amazing, and it's something to be said because a lot of people have been talking about it a little bit, but it hasn't gotten a lot of publicity too much. But because of the COVID year, you have a lot of guys that we've seen these 7th, 8th year guys in college, but that has been that has helped a lot in the NFL with guys coming in later rounds and making an immediate impact. Obviously, Puka, Brian Branch, he didn't come in a later round, but he kind of dropped. Sam Laporta was somebody that nobody really thought, when he was drafted, everybody was thinking, it's supposed to be Darnell Washington or somebody else, so that it's definitely interesting to see all of these rookies getting in.
That's a good point.
But yeah, Pro Bowl's lost a little bit of its luster, man. As somebody was saying, we hadn't heard anything about the Pro Bowl at all. Basically, the entire season outside of when the Pro Bowl voting was announced, and then obviously today. So it is still good to see the Pro Bowl rosters come out. I mean, it's still
it's an accomplishment.
No matter how watered down it is, it's an accomplishment.
It is still an accomplishment, but the fact that it is watered down to just a flag football game now. You eliminate kickers, you eliminate linemen, so really it's like being named an All Pro. You know what I mean? It's just it's that type of accomplishment now instead of like
kind of.
kind of for the fans, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But that's tough though, because like when you have a flag football game and you have all these these linemen, interior linemen, defensive linemen, it's like, okay, well, sure, you're recognized, but you're not able to put on a show for the fans. It's really all it's about. It's tough how it's got to this, but I mean, I get it, like the safety part of it and the fact that people weren't coming. So you had so many alternates that it really got washed down. So that's really eliminated that part of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I get that, but it's tough. It's tough to see it go this way.
Tough. I think they had a bad transition phase because it was a point where, when we was growing up outside of the game, we used to love watching the Pro Bowl, see the people, run the 40 and all that stuff, but then they had stopped it for a period of time. I think between that period of time to them coming back to the game, because I like the games part. I mean, it's interesting to me seeing them play dodgeball and stuff like that. But I think that transition, it kind of messed it up to where now most people, like you said, Kat, they view the Pro Bowl as whatever. They don't take it serious. So I don't really care to watch it, and I think that kind of fucked them up a little bit.
I do miss the competitions with they've tried to bring it back with like the throwing competitions and the running and the races and stuff like that. And I mean, it's been pretty cool. Another thing about it is obviously similar, to the college football bowl game season, bowl season. Bowl season used to be super amazing. We used to get to see all of these guys teams that we didn't typically see. Playing against each other and all the top guys playing. And then obviously when it started becoming a little bit more about the players focusing on their own personal brands, we started to see these guys starting to opt out. I want to say it started with Christian McCaffrey. That's the earliest that I can remember back. But we started to see these guys like starting to opt out. We just saw it with one of the games that comes to mind from this past year, UGA versus Florida State. We obviously saw UGA absolutely smack them boys 60 something to whatever they at the point I lost count of the score, whatever it was. But all of UGA, mostly all of UGA's players played except for Brock Bowers and a couple others, and then the transfers. But like everybody with all of their top players at FSU, Jared Verse,
they were
Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman. They were all like, hey, we're going to the league. We got snubbed out of the playoff. We're done with that.
It's tough to see good Marvin Harrison for Ohio State.
Marvin Harrison.
He subbed out. And then you got the tweet from Garrett Wilson, who also subbed out. But he's tweeted out saying that, bowl games used to mean something, and he went on to say that he probably should have played, but
it was like a pride thing. Like it was a pride thing, and it seemed. I mean, that's not to put a knock on these players, because they have to make the right decision for themselves, and I absolutely respect them for doing so. But as a fan, it is something that's like, damn, I do wish that I could have seen, like, and even when you're looking for like guys that are going to the league, you like, oh, I get to see you against another dude from this team that's also about to go to the league, that's supposed to be a top guy. So, it's on top of that, they switched it to where the Pro Bowl used to be after the Super Bowl, and now they try to do it in between the Super Bowl weeks. So that took out all the guys from the Super Bowl. With obviously, if you're going to the Super Bowl, you're typically probably going to be a team with a lot of Pro Bowlers. So that's when we started to see a lot of the alternatives come. I keep wanting to say alternatives. Alternates come in, and we started to see that kind of trend going on. And then now, obviously, we see people that are opting out because they have lingering injuries, or maybe they just don't want to freaking go to wherever it is. So,
I think I also kind of think the playoffs kind of in itself fucked up the bowls, because like within the playoffs you got the other bowl games, the ones you love watching, Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, all them bowls. We were talking about that the other day, Shy. Like, it was not even just the people who were in the national championship. Like, you had storylines. Like, we were talking about Cass, when Hawaii was undefeated that year, and everybody was like, nobody wants to play them. They lucky they didn't get to the national championship, and then they played Georgia, and I felt like that was the biggest game ever. And Georgia smacking them boys. But it was it was stuff like that. Like, you was looking forward to see, but I can imagine, like, what if that Georgia team was like, well, whatever, we're not going to play, and we don't see all these players playing it.
I didn't watch a single bowl. Only bowl game I watched this bowl season was the Georgia game, and that's just because I'm a fan.
It's tough because you had these games, and then you just slap a name on it. Oh, okay, we're gonna call this the Sugar Bowl. Okay, this gonna be the
Peach Bowl. Don't even feel like that was really the Sugar Bowl.
Pop-Tart Bowl.
That's crazy.
And I mean it's still I'm glad that they do have the Rose Bowl during like the playoff and stuff like that. So it does kind of keep up that that historic venue tradition, and stuff like that, and that tradition.